Hey, y'all. We back. How y'all
We
doing?
back.
So, thank you so much for coming over. We are just getting off of a nice, good old live for Bernina in honor of National Sewing Month. If you do not know what we are talking about, definitely head over to Facebook and you can check out Bernina over there to see the live that we did.
Correct. And listen, the live was, it was with Julian and I, so obviously the live was living, right?
Of course, you know how we do. We know how we do. But we thought that this is the perfect time to come back with good old season two of the AudaSEWtea. So we want to
Mm-hmm.
say welcome one, welcome all,
Mm-hmm.
welcome y'all to the AudaSEWtea Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Julian of Julian Creates. And who am I talking with today?
Hi, friends. I'm so excited to be back. This is Aaronica from Needle and the Bell, and so excited to come back. We got your messages. That's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. We got
Yes,
the
and we
tag.
appreciate it. Y'all thought of us, and we want
Yes.
to thank y'all so much.
Not
And
that we were happy that we were missing from your Saturday sewing or from your drives to work or from whatever time it is that you choose to dedicate to listen to the melodious voices of Julian and yours truly. But it feels good to be missed.
it makes you like, okay, we're doing something right. Like that,
Mhm.
like people are out there listening, and we're just not talking into a void. And for that, we appreciate
Exactly.
you. We
Exactly.
appreciate all the comments. We appreciate all the love. Thank y'all so much. And I mean, we was people talking about us in TikTok lives and everything. So we
Right.
appreciate y'all, and we are very happy to be back with a new season.
We are. But Julian, before we move on, let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
When we weren't recording, did you miss me?
Of course I did. Of course I did.
Oh, Julian.
Even though we was talking, but yes, I
Even though
did.
we were talking.
But it was not the same. Like we did not have we took time. Now, no, y'all, we planned. We was business
We
peoples.
were business people.
We was business peoples, but it was not the same. And life was life, and a lot of things were happening. And
Hmm.
we will go into them, not in this episode, but we'll go into them.
Yeah.
But it just was not the same, and I missed our time that we just set aside for these moments. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm glad to be back.
Before, and we might actually release this as like a little trailer, a little sneaky peeky up into this episode. But, Julie and I were chatting during our pre-podcast recording chat, and I was just like, yes, of course, we talked in the middle of, when we were recording, and we've seen each other. Like Julian was just in Atlanta, so of course, in fact, if you watch my YouTube channel, you've already seen him up on my vloggy vlog. But I was telling him that I was like, it just feels like this is like our uninterrupted time together. And I missed that. I'm like, yes, I know that I could call you or text you or send a voice recording or FaceTime you throughout the days and stuff like that. But it was like, my kids already know when the doors are closed, they can't come in, even if they hear Uncle Julian's voice. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is our protected time because the doors are closed.
Right.
Um, so it's already known that I missed you when we were not recording.
Look, I hadn't used my little podcast setting in my phone in a month of Sunday. And we done pulled it out. Now note, if my mama still might call me, yes.
Mhm,
As certain people they have access still. But
mhm.
it was glad. I was like, oh, look at you. I ain't seen my little podcast sitting in a while.
Now I haven't seen my podcast setting in a while. You know what? I should set that up too because I just put myself on sleep mode on my phone. Because honestly, in sleep mode, no one could really get through because the world doesn't really need a sleepy Aronica. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
The world
right.
doesn't deserve an interrupted sleep version of Aronica, you know?
But see,
So
here's the thing. As like y'all can call if y'all want to. I don't hear it no way when I'm asleep. When
the
I'm
funniest thing is when people will apologize, be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry I called you so late." No need to apologize. I wasn't notified until this morning. No need to
Right.
apologize. You're fine.
I ain't see it nowhere. You good. You good. It's
Right,
all
I
good.
didn't see it anyway. Yeah, please don't put me down as an emergency contact unless you've cleared it with me first. You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right.
So,
Because sorry about your luck. You might be in a ditch somewhere. and I
Yeah,
would not know.
I wouldn't know.
My bad.
Um, so Julian,
Mm-hmm.
obviously it's National Sewing Month, and before we get into our National Sewing Month conversation,
Mm-hmm.
uh, tell us about the summer. Like, what have you been working on? What have you been making? What has been inspiring to you? And also shout out to the 1940s weekend, right? Because that was a look, not an LOOK, but an LEWK, a look.
So definitely, I'll be honest. I'm still stuck in sewing for events or sewing
Mm,
for like needing an impetus to do sewing.
mm,
Um, the Sojo hasn't really been hitting like I wanted to hit.
hmm
But I have been doing stuff. So even right now, if you see behind me on my table, we got paper and stuff out because we playing with drafting some more.
hmm
Um, Trying another. We're retrying to draft because it's stuck in my head. Now,
hmm
might I be practicing insanity, thinking doing the same thing over and think I'm getting a different result? Maybe a little bit,
But we
but my
also know that like
piece,
adjusting a little seam allowance or a little arm side, you know what I'm saying? Like those make huge impacts.
I don't even know if that's gonna help us, but we gonna see.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
gonna see.
I have all the
And
tools.
y'all just need to mind y'all business
Ooh.
if y'all don't see this one, okay? But no. So but from so doing a lot of like that and playing with stuff there,
Hmm.
again, because my body has changed.
Yeah.
Um, and I have not gotten used to it yet, and so it's not as fun to sew for.
Hmm.
So having a reason to do it, so like the 40s day or frock tails or something like that, those give me reasons to sew.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to bring it back. Like I want to fill the wardrobe again. Like I want just
Yeah. Yeah.
fun stuff, but I'm now having to refine the patterns that I can do
Hmm.
that with. I found some, but I need to build my deck of my basics that I like to make. Like I can
Yeah.
go to this, it's cute, and then figuring out like either sadly what adjustments I now have to make to
Yeah.
um main patterns so that I can do that. And we're just
That
not there.
booty is back there bootying.
Or it's not. Or it's not.
No?
I don't. Well, see now the Fortis pants. Hence why they are now my favorite pants. When I tell you, I was sitting. It looked like you can almost put a tray on the back, and I was loving it. I was so
Yeah.
excited.
Bounce a quarter off that ass. Hmm.
I was like, oh yes, give me this. Gave me exactly what I needed. But I essentially stretch across three sizes, and I did not before.
Yeah.
And I just took my measurements again, and I'm like, well, damn, I'm even smaller than I was the last time. And I just took measurements and did a draft that I like the fit of. And now I took my measurements again and I'm smaller.
Hmm.
Like, so instead of being, I was a size, now, no, y'all, I started at a size 48 last year because it's been a year that
Hmm.
basically started at 48. As of today, I am a size like 36
Wow.
chest.
Wow. Wow.
That's a child's it's almost.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, like find so figuring that out and it just it's still new. It's still new.
Yeah.
So
Very, very valid. Yeah.
hmm but what
Very,
have you
very.
been doing? What you been doing? What you been doing?
Um, Now that these minions are back in school,
Can we say hallelujah for that?
and we say hallelujah.
Can
You
I hear
love
the can I hear the mamas in the audience? Can I hear the daddies in the audience? Can I hear the guardians? Y'all better can I get a run?
Whew.
So, we're gonna play like
Listen,
it's church. Amen in here is needed.
and it's needed. And yeah, y'all know I love my kids. I love them so much. But you know what? Honestly, this summer was really hard for me because my health problems began to flare up.
Right.
Um, and I had so now we always typically plan to have the kids in camp for the month of June. So that
hmm
way they're able to have camp, able to make new friends, able to have fun, do all the camper stuff. And then the plan is always that July is like our travel month, our month for them to spend time with grandparents, etc. Except my mom just had knee surgery, so she was in too much pain to kind of navigate having three kids with her. Um, as she's like trying to feel okay. And then I actually found out that I'm struggling through venous insufficiency, which means that I've got like blood and fluids pooling at my ankles and it hurts, you know. So I had actually gotten season passes to Six Flags because I was like, oh, bet. Like they're on sale because I got them during the Memorial Day sale. And I was like, this is
Mhm.
perfect. They're on sale. I paid like maybe $150 for four season passes. And I was like, this is going to be excellent. We'll be able to go have a great time. But not being able to walk long distances. And then I found out that I have arthritis in my knee. I have both lymphedema as well as lipedema. Your girl is like, wow. Like I had the double mastectomy a year ago. You know, I'm a year out from that. We're thriving. Everything is fantastic. Health is going great. And you know, going to the doctor now, I wasn't expecting that to kind of happen. And that definitely impacted my sojo, right? And I didn't feel like making because I was just in so much pain. And if we're being completely honest, like Aaronica without sleep, not a pleasant person. Aaronica in pain, like inconsistent throbbing pain, is who I have grown out of, and when I'm in pain, I revert back to, right? And
Mhm.
that's not to say that I was not a good person before. I have always been a good person, but a little bit more crass, a little bit more direct, a little bit less fluffy with their words. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to say tactless because my words always meet their impact, you know. So if I was trying to hurt your feelings got hurt. But I also feel like I have become a kinder version of who I used to be. And someone in pain, that is really hard to do. But
Yes.
I next week I actually have three of the four procedures that I need to have in order to begin to rectify this. And so I'm excited. And now I'm trying to make, you know, lymphedema fashion with styling my compression socks. I also feel like I've really been kind of coming into my own. Like actually both Julian and I think that we have obviously sewing in common, but there are so many different layers to the sewing that we have in common that are coming out, you know, whereas I really feel strongly about styling and the impact of styling getting dressed on mental health. And
Mhm.
Julian is like this expert historian and this, you know, we were driving around Atlanta and he's over here pointing out different architecture, naming the architecture. And I'm over here like, WTF, like, how do you just know this random bits of information, right? Like, I've really got to get you in Denver to do like trivia nights so that you guys can win me drinks and money, you know, because I'm just like, y'all would dominate with the amount of knowledge that you guys just hold in your heads. Um, but you know, I kicked off the Pinterest inspiration to closet manifestation as a way to kind of reignite my my passion for making a closet that makes me feel inspired to get dressed because like you, I've lost a lot of weight and my clothes aren't fitting and I'm in this kind of in between like weird phase. Like I have a pattern that's currently in testing and I was making it today and it didn't fit, you know, and so I'm having to kind of go back to that drawing board again, very similar to you with, you know, the things that fit, but then also like it's kind of tough because I've got to replace like all of my pants. Like it's
Mhm.
no longer like I can grab and put them on. Now my like knit pants are still fine, but
Mhm.
like my trousers or my jeans are not, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, girl, we got to have some clothes that feel good to wear and that make you feel amazing. So, um, you know, I feel like that has kind of been my summer into where we are now, where I'm just like you trying to fill my closet with the things that I feel like wearing now.
Right. And it's, I think, so there's fun in it. So like I think
Which one?
people need to understand like there's still fun in it, but it's
Yeah. Hmm.
different. And in those moments, or let's be real, because Mercury been getting a mini BBL and been in recovery for years, it feels like.
Because like WTF Mercury, why you
Because
always be going like reversing your hula hoop? You know what I'm saying? And sending us all in a tizzy.
I mean, it was at Dr. Miami for months.
Mm,
Um, and I think that also did not help. Like I just had not been in the best of headspaces.
yeah.
So where like sometimes I need ease when it
Hmm.
comes to these things, and I did not have that.
Yeah.
And that then made everything more difficult to deal with and do. Even in sewing, where sewing is my safe,
Yeah.
um, it was just like, oh, this ain't hitting. And so then that just made everything not hit. But I'm excited for the seeing the closet manifestations and stuff like that because now it is also like I am having fun figuring out what I want to wear.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's real like when you up here buy something and literally it changed like it don't fit quickly. And the biggest thing, but then I realized that I buy a lot of like draws have been the thing I've been buying a lot of.
Mm. You know, I feel like one of the big things that people don't talk about are, of course, the non-scale victories, the NSVs when you're
Hmm.
losing weight, which for me is like the towel closing over my entire body
Come
and
on.
not giving shows when I get out the shower. Unless,
Right.
of course, my husband is out there and I'm trying to give a show. But
Right.
also the inconvenience of putting on underwear and then walking around with baggy drawers on because you didn't realize that they didn't quite fit right.
That was
Julian, the way that I had on a skirt and my drawers were like falling down, I was like, okay, all right, received. Message has been received, right? Because what?
and
Like,
in
that's
that moment you basically say, well then Jesus said I don't need them.
not Jesus said I don't need them. My husband said I do need them. Okay.
Jesus trumps. Look,
Oh, but you know what? Your girl, we getting a little slim thick with it.
look,
And the
look.
men folk around here are really feeling it.
Come
So the
on.
other day we went to and this was a major bust, but we went to the Atlanta like street food festival and it was on Labor Day. And first of all, Julian, I had saved my appetite for when I got there, right? Because I was like, oh, I'm ready to eat. Okay.
Right. Right.
Like, yes, we're losing weight, but we still like food.
Of
So,
course. Hmm.
right. So
Hmm.
I was excited. I was geeked. I was like, when we get there, there's gonna be food trucks. I'm ready. Like your girl's trying to get a taste of everything. So like, let's be ready.
Right.
So I didn't eat. I was literally running on like coffee and water, right?
See.
Mistake numero uno, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So we get there. First of all, in Atlanta, it's still 1,000 degrees, right? On its coolest day. And so we get there. The park is beautiful. Now, I live on the east side of Atlanta. Where we
Hmm.
went was on the west side of Atlanta. So we drove to get there.
50, 11 miles. Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm. And it really wasn't that bad. But we get to the park and I'm like, oh man, this park is beautiful. I love it. But also, I'm not seeing, smelling, or hearing food. So, like, where are we going? You know what I'm saying? So we pull up. I got questions. The question mark is above my head. I'm confused, right? I had
Hmm.
confusion. So I'm like, you know what? It's cool. Let's go because you know what? There's a bathroom right here. Let me empty my bladder so that I'm really free to do what I need to do at this function. Julian, I swear to God, I walked like a mile uphill in this heat. And I was like, hey babe, um, just giving you a little FYI. I didn't eat today. The heat is coming down. The girl's feeling ever so slightly lightheaded. Um, I need to take a couple breaks, a little pause as we're walking.
Right.
But we finally get to the area where they're having this function. And first of all, there's parking in that area, which somehow we missed. Okay. I was deeply disappointed by that. But then we walk up, and again, it's supposed to be the Atlanta Street Food Festival. Julian, there were like four tents. One of them had a lemonade. Literally everyone, because I don't meet a stranger. And if you
Right.
on the street and I'm on the street, we fucking friends now, right? We're friends.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
hello. Um, so as we're walking up, I'm asking people, hey, how was the food festival? They were like, oh, it wasn't worth it. I'm like, oh, but you know what? I got a positive mindset, right? It's all about your mindset. I was ready. I looked cute. I was ready to eat. I wore like stretchy waistbands, so I didn't have to worry about discomfort in my stomach area. Get there, there are four tents. The four tents that I see are all drinks and infused treats. That's not what I came for. I came to eat. So I am also sweating like so much that I'm sweating profusely. Like it looks like how that Key and Peele,
Yeah.
like it where
Just
he has the water coming down. That's literally me. No exaggeration. Water just coming down out of my head, right? pull up and I has confusion. So my husband is like, so what do you want to do? I said, well, I need a refreshment. I need to partake in something. They said the lemonade was good. So let me go over to this lemonade. First of all, they were serving lemonade out of like these big bins, right? And I was like, whatever. Your girl's thirsty. I need to replenish some of
Right.
what I've sweat out at this juncture. Tell me why I paid 10.50 for lemonade that was mostly ice. Like it was 16 ounces. And matter of fact, it was like just ever so slightly shorter than my here simple modern cup. That's a 40 ouncer. They filled that bitch up with all the ice in the world. And then like ladled, took one ladle of lemonade and put it in there and didn't even fill it to the brim with the lemonade.
See,
Right.
no, no,
But then a
no.
lady there was trying to hook me up with the guy who came up. She was like, "Oh, I thought you guys were together." And he was like, "Oh no." And I was like, "No, I walked up before him." And she's like, "Well, you guys could be together." I'm like, "I think my husband would have a problem with that, as would all three of my children, because he would have to take me and the kids, because my husband would be like, well, guess you guys are out."
Peace to all of y'all. Get out. Right.
So I get my very expensive, very not very basic lemonade, and I walk over to my kids and my husband were getting like shaved ice because
Okay.
again, that's all they had. So then I walk over and I'm standing there looking cute, like your girl does, you know. Guys are walking past me, "Hey girl, hey, hey." Not my daughter mean mugging them because I'm a be polite. I was like, "Hey,
Right.
hello, how are you?"
Hmm.
Because again, we on the street, we all friends, whatever.
Right. Good evening, sir. Yes.
Right. I'm gonna keep it
Salutations.
cute. Very
Right.
demure, very
Hmm.
mindful, very
Very
cutesy.
cutesy. Right.
Okay. Here you go, Kalima looking at them like, "Don't talk to my mom." Like, ugh. Like, first of all, ma'am, we gonna milk it. It's fine. She's
Right.
okay. My
We're
curls are
not cock
popping because we've
blocking.
been using the bounce curl brush, so we feeling good.
Right.
So then we walked down. Julian, there were two food trucks.
See, no.
The food truck was charging $20 for a hamburger meal with a hamburger and French fries, no drink. I looked at my husband. I said, "I've seen what I need to see. I cannot walk back to the car." He said, "Say less. I'm gonna go get the car, and we're just gonna come and get you." So we ended up going to Croc Street Market, but it was fulfilling while not being fulfilling because your girl got her little ego stroked. We take a good ego stroking, but I was starving. Like
See,
my stomach was sucking on my spine because of how hungry I was.
see. Mm-mm. The devil is a liar. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was so disappointed. And now I'm looking at Atlanta street foods differently because what? This is not even why Jesus died on the cross. Not for this.
Look,
Not for
no,
this.
no. Mm-hmm.
This is
That's
not why
Judas.
Buddha has us over here chanting. Not for this.
That's some Judas with 50 shekels. That's what that
Mm.
is.
That's not
Pieces
even
of
it.
silver.
That's not it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
we're losing weight, but we're not trying to die of starvation. You know what I'm
No.
saying?
And and Lord knows I've you forgetting to eat. Because didn't I take a walk yesterday? I took a little over 3 mile walk. And I was like, oh, I'm getting a little parched, a little tired, a little woozy. Then I realized I hadn't eaten today except for a glass of coffee. Hmm.
We've got to do better. Also,
We,
what's your boba? Because Julian came to Atlanta and had boba for the first time.
I enjoyed it. It was good. It was good. And then I went to see you, then I went and saw my friend and we went to Metro Diner. I was like, okay,
Oh, nice.
that worked.
Okay.
And then we went to Joystick.
I don't know what that is.
It's an arcade bar.
Oh, yeah, I have heard of it. Dude, you
Hmm.
should have been here this past weekend because it was Black
Dragon
Atlanta
Con.
Pride weekend and we
That,
were
but
out for
also
it.
Dragon Con.
Yes.
And
Um,
because Dragon Con was all up in my hotel, and I was like, oh, this a lot.
yeah.
That's a lot. Now, I would love to experience that. I don't know. Y'all know, I love people. I swear I do. But it'd be a
But
lot.
I've been to Dragon Con pre-pandemic and it was very overwhelming for me.
When I saw lines wrapped around the lobby of the hotel for people to check, I was like, oh no. No,
Mm-mm.
no, 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 no.
But I will say that we did enjoy seeing the costumes coming down because we were in downtown Atlanta for the weekend as well.
Hmm.
Um, because Kalima had a little birthday party at Piedmont Park, and her friend did not know that it was Black Gay Weekend. I mean Black Pride Weekend this weekend or
Come
last
on,
weekend, and
a
there were
lot.
some shows.
Stunts, shows.
So we were driving, and there was a guy who was walking, and he had on his G string.
Yeah,
And listen, Bo was like, "Mommy, I can see his butt," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "His skin looks very well moisturized." You know what I'm saying?
as it
He
should.
doesn't miss a day of shea butter.
Because,
Okay,
honey, if you out here in a G string with no shea butter on your ass, just ashy.
listen. But we had the conversations about appreciating people's bodies being on display, their choice,
Yes.
you know,
And knowing how you can appreciate it, knock out. Look at
and not
that.
gawk.
Teach them early, teach them
But I
young.
tell you,
Them
I
young.
was gawking at the skin. I was like, golly, what is his skin
Look,
regimen back there?
look,
Because the way that I was like, his skin looks, Julian, when I tell you that the skin looked creamy and flawless, I was like, I mean, is he exfoliate? What is he using to exfoliate?
honey, that is some exfoliation. That's some hyaluronic acid. You know,
Some of something. I was like,
they be doing peels and ashles, just ass facials.
that's what I need
So
in my life. Okay. Because I saw what I needed to see and I said, that's not where mine is, you
look,
know? So
look.
I need to be down there asking for help,
Mhm.
asking advice.
Mine's barely coming up on the rough side of the mountain right now. So look, I'll be good if I can get a slather and a Vaseline back there.
I've been using my African net, you know what I'm saying? Hitting my
That does
back.
work. Look, that does work. I enjoy my African net, but look, it just be like, look, y'all better be glad I hit the ankles and the knees. Y'all don't see nothing else in the elbows with a little something, a little oil
Just
daily,
a little bit.
a little oil, a little Crisco. That's it,
Mhm.
a little something.
Well, obviously some things don't change, and that is us getting off the topic of sewing. But you're welcome for that tea right
Y'all know
there.
y'all missed it. Y'all know y'all missed it.
Right. Because listen,
Hmm.
one of the things, in fact, Erica, yes, our dear Erica from the sewing community, as in Erica Bunker, was on threads talking about how one of her new coworkers was shading her and then was all up smiling in her face when she found out she could sew. I said that audacity is never on back order, huh? And neither is the AudaSEWtea here. So you are welcome.
We gave y'all a good portion. It just shows you how we've missed it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all know that we have this is a conversation. So y'all getting
Back.
what y'all get. But back to National Sewing Month.
National Sewing Month.
And we thought it was important as we are talking about National Sewing Month just to think about where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we can tell, it started in the first proclamation came out in September 21st of 1982. And it was from President Ronald Reagan. Now, take that with what you will, but that's who it came from. Uh, under proclamation number 4976. This was in recognition of the importance of home sewing to our nation. And it was at the request of the American Home Sewing and Craft Association, which is an industry and trade associated supporting the sewing and craft industries.
Mm.
From there were proclamations going through that was in 82, you had 83, 84, 85, and again in 88 where the proclamation states that tens of millions of Americans sew at home. Their efforts demonstrate the industry, the skill, and the self-reliance which are so characteristic of this nation. Ain't that
Telling
interesting?
I have a love of that and also a questionable at best at that.
Child. Especially the tens of millions, especially in this nation. I think again, this was 80s. 80s was
Yes,
different. It was a different time.
yes.
But we have strayed so far. And I think there is a chance to really stray again. And especially since like, who helped to really bring this about was like the Home Sewing Association and these trades, which have closed. So that the Home Sewing Association closed in like 2007.
Wow.
So, so there is that all of that kind of in this. And we did see like recently as 2005, like people kind of submitting for proposals for these for the revival and the recognition of this. Because there was a time when you really did not see a lot of things happening from like 88 until around 2004. You did not see that recognition of National Sewing Month on like a national level recognized by government, but we're now seeing it come back again, which is important.
I do agree that it is important, and I'm not like questionable at best at national the notion of us having National Sewing Month because, of course, one of the things that I really have loved about the way that generations work is that every generation puts our own spin, our own twist, our own definition on things, which of course is what we're seeing here. Um, and I'm really excited, especially because of this year's theme, which is sustainability, sustainable
Mhm.
sewing, right? Because for those that don't know, I actually left corporate America to become a sustainability and mommy blogger, and I've won a couple of awards in that area specifically for sustainability. So sustainability is something that is extremely important to me, and in fact, my sewing actually picked back up again after I had learned to sew through upcycling thrifted finds that I had, right? And being able to flip them into things that I wanted to wear. So I love this notion of both National Sewing Month being kind of what we make of it, as well as this year's theme being sustainability, because again, something very near and dear to my heart.
Mhm.
I almost feel like it was started though as like it feels like it was a little shadiness, just a smidge towards women, right? Because of course in the 80s, we were the ones who were being, and very much so even still now, women are thought of as being the ones who sew and blah 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 blah. So it almost feels like oh, you should be making more things or you should be sewing more because look, we're honoring people who sew. So get back in that sewing room and make some stuff, you know?
Well, but also I think we have to realize and think it was a trade industry who asked for this to happen, who helped
Hmm.
to create this. And they were trying to sell stuff. So you got notions, you got fabrics, you got
True.
machines. And at that time, so what, 82,
Before I
um
was born.
that was the Bernina like 830. That was
Oh
the
wow.
Viking 6690.
Mm,
That was the like I can go through the machines and like so that was like some of the early FOFs like 1730 maybe
wow.
or maybe that's 70s so probably a little later so that was like the 84 or something like that. Some other numbers. Like
Mm,
so that was the beginning of like the first era of computerized machines. That
mhm.
was so like that's what we're seeing at this time. That is um like very much Vidal Sassoon. That was not Vidal. That's I'm thinking of Bevel Sassoon. You're thinking of like I'm thinking of Vogue patterns. That was still like you can still get
Yeah,
Vogue Paris. That was right before like Issey Miyake. That was around the time that we start seeing like Patrick Kelly in Vogue patterns and Willie
right.
Smith and Steve Burrows was still in some Vogue patterns. But that was the era of the shoulder pads. That was Laura Ashley. That was Jessica McClintock.
Yes.
Some of
Oh
those type of
gosh, Jessica
patterns. So
Black.
like
Yeah.
you can like I can see the era of that time
Hmm.
and height of economics.
Yeah.
So and
I will
people
say that this is
finding
also
hobbies
the
and stuff
perfect time
again.
to introduce this segment, right? Because, oh, hello. In bringing back season two, we have two new segments that we want to
We
share
do.
with you in case you missed that we did not start off with an Am I the Asshole? But this first segment, which Julian has somehow seamlessly navigated into, like, I mean, he's so good. But what we wanted to do is bring to the show the two areas that we're extremely passionate about, which I alluded to earlier, which of course for Julian is his historical like love of history, right? And I want you all to know that in preparing for this here this podcast, I'm pretty sure I just texted him and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be talking about like style and thrifting and that as it relates to sustainability." And that was probably like 30 minutes before we hopped on here. So the mere fact that Julian is over here just dropping names like this really speaks to his passion and his ability to retain these historical facts because it's something he's passionate about. So we're going to go ahead and turn it back over to Julian now that we have introduced his segment of
Yeah.
um,
History.
That's so history.
Yeah.
We'll just
Oh,
name
come
it that.
on. That's so history.
That cute. That was cute. Okay. Okay.
That's so
Okay.
historical. Um, yeah. So note, y'all. So don't get mad. Like we found that, especially for sewing related Am I the Assholes, it was hard to find. Now, when we
Yes.
find them, we will still
We will
use them.
share them. Yeah. So if you have
But
some, submit them to us. Yeah.
yes, please do. Please. But yeah, so we had to balance out to spread the wealth and the joy. But yeah, so it was a different when we think of the history of that time, it was a different time. In the sewing industry was different then. And sadly, I think that many people want to go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we are different people now. We like what? That was 40 something years ago. That was 42 years ago. 82, yeah, 42. So we need to, I'm glad that there's a resurgence, and especially with this year with So Sustainable, we're seeing a better look at what the sewing industry looks like now. Really focusing on upcycling, really focusing on using what you have, really focusing on the full cornucopia of what
Mm-hmm.
our sewing industry looks like in terms of gender expression, in terms of race, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of age, in terms of ability, in terms of body differences. All of that are involved in this process as we are using this as a way to connect with self-care and mindfulness and different things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and really being connected to where our clothing and stuff comes from. So it's really good to see.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Um. Wow. Wow. I'm still like in awe over these names that you were dropping.
Yeah,
Um.
I use my fixations, like, when I get a topic,
Mm.
I fixate on it and I use it for good. So, and that's history sometimes. And when I find stuff, I go there. And because honestly, I could keep on going, but I don't want to. Y'all ain't ready for that.
I don't know. I feel like we are.
Well,
I
okay.
feel like we are.
What I will say, and what we will talk about next time, um, go into more depth, is that I really want us to discuss kind of the origins of the machines that we use today. Because if you
Ooh.
think about it, a lot of the machines, especially that you can buy at the store, kind of have a singular point that they come from. Now, no, we can talk about the many different machines and stuff like that going back to like 1860s or something like that, when we really start seeing a lot of domestic machines come onto the market. But there is one machine that really helped to set the precedent for how we sew today,
Mhm.
and that is the Singer Model 15.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. So before this time, literally every different machine had a different hook, a different bobbin, and a lot of times a different style of needle. And even the class 15, when it was originally started, um, it also had like what is called a long beak shuttle bobbin system, which is different than what we use today. Now it started kind of starting in, I want to say 1895 is when we saw the modern class 15 machine. With this machine came our current bobbin system that most machines still use to this day,
Okay.
the same like the actual bobbin case and stuff like that that we are seeing on a lot of machines, from like your basic Singers to like Burnett's to like it spreads across brand, all kind of went to this bobbin system in this hook and race system that we use, but also the needle system that we use all started with the class 15 machine.
Wow. Wow. So,
Mhm.
I had to look this up because whereas this is Julian's like area of expertise, this is not your girl's area of expertise at all, right? And the truth of the matter is that I love learning more about this, which is the reason why I was like, Julian, could you please, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I feel like learning about this is so interesting because there are things that I just never would have thought to look into or gain greater understanding for. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So this is so interesting to me. So very interesting to me. Now, one question that I have, and this might be something that you might want to get into in a future episode, but I feel like because you're also um obviously father of machines. We're just gonna call you that, right?
I follow machines. Call me
Right.
daddy.
Fairy godfather of sewing machines. That's what we're gonna call you. Um, and seeing as though it is sustainability month and you are known, well known in the community, of course, for having a million machines. We all saw the machines fall in the closet, right? And
I ain't gonna
pick
talk
back
about
up
it. Yep.
again faster than they fell. Okay. Which I find amazing. But I would love to hear your insights on what to look for when shopping secondhand or
Mm.
shopping or thrifting for a machine, right? Because um, we do have people who may have machines or may be in the market for new machines. And just because it's old to someone doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be new to a new person. So I'd love to hear your insights on that, on how to on what to look for in finding or buying secondhand machines.
Definitely. And I think we could make an episode about that.
Okay.
But what I will say, just to start, is that literally, especially, and this is the answer that I always give to people. If you're looking to start sewing, you just need, a lot of times you need a straight stitch, forward and backwards, and a zigzag. Those are the two biggest things that you need in any machine. Honestly, if you get a older machine that does not have the zigzag, we can make it work without it.
Hmm.
I would suggest having a machine that goes forward and backwards. And I say that having machines that only go one direction. Okay. So I have machines from the age before they started to put where you can reverse on it. Um,
Wow.
and like you look confused, like what is this world? But yeah, so and dude, I'm a person that does not mind a older machine. I feel that I started with older and they are like my first love in terms of
Mhm.
machines.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can kick them and they will still keep on ticking. Like you can throw anything at it and it will work. Um, but we will definitely go into kind of what to look for and identifying brands. Even if you're interested in the history, if you have an older machine, how to look up more history on it, including like maybe date codes and different things like that. We'll definitely talk about that in another episode. But do not be afraid, as we're talking about sustainability, do not be afraid of machines. Let goodwill be your friend, because a lot of people are getting rid of machines.
Yeah.
Um, and especially the ones that are metal from like the 50s, 60s, or earlier, oh, they are a joy to sew with, in my opinion. This is my opinion. They are a joy to sew with. And because that's where I started, that's what I usually always gravitate towards and come back to. Um, you don't need the bells and whistles and stuff like that. A simple machine, Japanese made is my preferred. Um, and it lasts. And we'll talk about why and how we see machines proliferate
Because you
and
know I
why
was
we.
about to ask
So, and I'll answer this now. So, Japanese machines, the way that we see Japanese machines, basically that started after the war, World War II, and the patent for the Singer Class 15 had ended. What the Americans did was they took that patent and sent it over to Japan. And basically, as they were trying to rebuild industry, they said, "Well, look, all these places that were making ammunition and stuff like that can make sewing machines."
I mean, that
So
makes sense.
they really started making sewing machines, but then they added kind of like how Japanese have a level of quality. So they were like, basically one person does one job and does it really well. They don't try to learn too much more than that. So that one person is a skilled expert in that one thing in that machine. So that it just allows for a higher technical level of like resistance and stuff like that, and it just is smooth running a lot of times more than other machines.
Mm,
So a lot of, and what they just got good at doing was they will use the same mechanism on the inside and change up the body.
yeah.
So, and a lot of times what they would do with these machines is that it would not have a name on it. So like stores would
So
buy
they're
it.
like white labeling it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can get it in multiple different colors and stuff like that. And you could do that while Singer was still selling only, most of the time you could only get a Singer in a black, maybe a white, a
Hmm.
blue, and a beige. Wow.
I don't like beige machines.
I have a few. I have a few. They're not my favorite, but I do have a few. While you were seeing from the Japanese, you could get it, it looked like cars at the time. Um, so that is really kind of what really started to elevate those machines and people going for those. And a lot of times they were cheaper than some of your other models, but you still
Mm,
got good quality at that time. Um, to the point where even as like it went to Japanese and then it also went to Taiwan. Do you understand that in the 70s you could still get these machines? They were given away at fairs sometimes for prizes.
wow.
Like
Wow.
literally, if you did like a coin toss or one of those milk juggy thing, like you could win a sewing machine at the fair.
Julian, what would you do if you could win a sewing machine right now at a fair?
Ciao.
Oh my
Nope, nope,
God.
tell me nothing. But and when I tell you, I enjoy those machines because it literally has like one of mine is a Morse. Um, Morse Photomatic 4300 is the machine that I have. And when I tell you, it just has what I want. It has straight stitch, a good straight stitch, it has forward and backwards, but it has a buttonhole. It is a four-step buttonhole with a lever, but it
Wow.
has a beautiful buttonhole every single time. It has a blind hem.
I definitely just pulled up this machine and these are beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got mine from Goodwill, and it was one of those machines that really had not ever been used. So it was literally
Yeah.
like brand new in the box.
Not gonna lie, I definitely pulled up a couple of these vintage singers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I need one,
You do.
but at $119, I kind of feel like I might need
That's
one.
expensive. That's expensive. You cannot find
I
one cheap.
also just found one for $57.
That's about right. Mm-hmm. That's
What?
better.
Okay. Well, this one says that the sewing machine works, but it needs a new belt and the light needs a new bulb.
That's fine. Yeah, you can buy the belts at Joann's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the belts are simple, super simple to replace.
I
We can
mean,
put them
I'm
online.
like over here on Mercari because your girl loves a good thrift, a good secondhand, a good pre-loved, you know?
Absolutely. Right. Mm-hmm.
I
And I
do. I
think
love a good stitch.
we like, and no, and I'm saying this as a person who loves all machines, especially new ones. And there's some new hotness coming to the market. We need to
Mm.
talk about that because that Bernina 990,
Oof.
Jesus, help me,
I've
Holy
been
Ghost.
watching people with it, and I'm just like,
Right. Right.
do I need a big ass machine? I might.
I'm
I
sometimes
mean, over
size
here,
does
like, I
matter.
feel like, I don't know. I feel like a huge machine might fix some sojo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't
And
heard anybody who has a 990 say they didn't feel like sewing.
it's the attitude adjustment we all need. Y'all
An
hear me?
attitude adjustment comes with the box. You feel
Look,
me?
look,
It's that extra nine that's the attitude adjustment.
look, that 14 inches, it will do it for you.
The 14 inches may ain't by happy.
The 14, it will do it for you. Do it for you. Y'all don't, this ain't for your kids. Not today. Uh,
Welcome
y'all, we
back.
try to get sponsored by people and we up here talking about Lord Jesus, help me, Holy Ghost. But anywho, no, but I think that understand that you can still have fun with the basic. Understand that with all the machines that I have, sometimes I always keep a vintage at the ready because it speaks to my heart and it's like it's
Yeah.
meditative, it's mindful. So
No, I
do
want you
not.
to be completely honest because when you're sewing your vintage pieces, you feel like you have to use your vintage machine.
It's fun to do it that way. Yeah,
Hmm.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Now, no, on the last for 40's day, how many vintage machines did I use to get the project done? Because I was pulling machines out, and I was just pulling
I was
which ones out,
machine.
and they were not giving me the attention that I wanted. So I ended up going back to, like, I started with a Bernina 125 from 1953.
Wow.
Then I went to a Elna Grasshopper from 1951.
Wow.
Then I didn't feel like pulling out, like I could have pulled out the Phoenix, I could have pulled out the Morse, I could have pulled out my Montgomery Ward, I could have pulled out my,
I hope somebody is taking notes because how many machines did he just say?
I know, I know.
And
He's,
here's the kicker about all these machines. They're heavy.
yes,
So
they
I'm
are.
like, so Julian, this is what you've been doing, so go ahead and work out. It's
A
just
little
pulling
bit,
out machines.
a little
This
bit.
this your strength training day, huh?
Just, I mean, most of them are at least 35, if not more. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Well,
hit
no,
me
the
with a little
125 and
deadlift.
the grasshopper, those are maybe like 10 pounds. Those are light machines.
Okay.
They're small. But I could have pulled out, I had some other ones that I could have pulled out, but we ended up just going with my Bernina 840 favorite from the 70s, and got the job done because the stitch quality is important, and I
Yeah.
wanted good stitch quality, and I
Yeah.
got what I needed. So yeah,
Hmm. Everybody else got what they needed to when you posted your outfit pic because it was fire.
people are really liking it, and it just reminded me of my love of vintage style, and that
Yeah.
I need to do more of that. So as you were talking about using Pinterest for closet curation and like
Mhm.
finding the joy in your closet, it's mostly vintage right now on mine, and hence why I'm drafting my blocks so that I can create more of what I want with a modern like with a modern fit with the vintage details. Because sometimes
Yeah.
there are certain things like I want like collar shape or something like that. I don't like the big flyaway collars of some pieces. I just want to update some of those, and then find also ways that I can simplify sewing methods because they do use vintage sewing methods, which are
Mhm.
not common now. How
No,
can
they
we
aren't.
how can we bring it together?
Yeah, I learned about that when I did my collaborations with
Yes,
Stephanie
yes.
Canada. And actually, the people are like, can we please get a video of vintage shortcuts versus modern day shortcuts? Which I'm actually really interested in because I'm shortcut queen. If there's a shortcut, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna take it.
Hmm.
But I'm just like, what sorts of things were shortcuts for vintage? Like I was on one of my videos, actually on my video with my collaboration with her on my channel. Someone
Hmm.
was like, yeah, we didn't use like in the 70s, we were hand hemming. Like we were
Yeah.
hand sewing our hems. And I'm like, wow. Because I'm like hand sewing. Wow.
Well, that depends on the machine that you had now, because like machines starting in, depending on if you had cams or something with your machine, that's when we start seeing um the the change over where you start seeing like a blind hem where you could do that, but it was
Mhm.
still a lot easier a lot of times to do it by
Yeah.
hand. It don't take that long. It don't.
Yeah.
But yes, but also just the way that we generally sew is a shortcut. Because a lot of times what would happen is if you look at a lot of your vintage manuals,
Mm.
everything was basted first and then sewn. So hand basted and then you stitched.
I
And
watched
then you
that
got
video that you posted in your stories
mm-hmm.
where there was the hand basting before they went back and hand stitched. And I was like,
Yeah.
I need to find some more couldn'ts for the couldn't be me. I mean, like after I watched that though, because it was such a flawless execution, I was like, for a suit, I would do it. You know what I'm saying? For
Mm-hmm.
something like for a nice jacket or like a nice satin finish jacket, yes, sure, maybe, might, possibly. But I'm just like, I feel like vintage sewists, like people who love vintage sewing, y'all just be whipping out needle and thread just because the day ends in Y. And I'm just like, I thought that we got sewing machines with blind hem foot and things like that, to help us with this.
But depending on the fabric and the execution,
You're correct.
sometimes
You're correct.
that creates warping or something like that. You have more control if you hand sew it, and you can hide a multitude of sins in hand sewing sometimes.
Mm,
So I'm just saying. Now, no,
that's
do
the
I hand sew
word.
everything, or do I hand sew? Would I say a lot? No, but I can,
Yeah.
and I've learned to love it more.
I would like to get there possibly someday as soon as I
So,
learn knitting. Sure.
oh, child, I I done gave up on the knitting and crochet right now. It's still in the back of my mind, but we ain't there yet.
Mm.
Um, And y'all know she talked about like just the base thing and the construction of the seam. We ain't talked about actually finishing the edges of the fabric and what that took in that sewing. But honestly, because I was side eyeing both for you and Stephanie because I'm like I wanted to be part of the video.
It's funny because you say that, and I'm like, actually, people were like, we would love to have you guys invite other people in. So you already know I was like, I feel like you would be perfect to come in on this conversation. Name one, because you're a man.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like there's enough conversations when it involves sewing that also involve men and bringing men to the table. Do y'all already have seats at plenty of tables? Yes, you do. But I feel like diversity and inclusion goes more than just black and white, as well as, making sure that we have representation for everyone, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I was definitely like, oh, Julian needs to get in on this. Also because I feel like you speak to both modern as well as vintage. So you're like in between, like where Stephanie and I are. Like whereas I am definitely more modern than I am anything else, right? I'm definitely a shortcut. I'm definitely, do we have to understitch this or can we do you know what I'm saying? Like what shortcut can I take?
Hmm.
Um, but I do feel like that would be an excellent conversation to bring you in on for sure.
Well,
For
y'all,
sure.
because y'all up here giving each other secret supplies, and I'm like, oh, I got something for y'all. I can give y'all
I
everything,
got something for
include.
y'all.
Do I need to travel with machines to bring y'all, and y'all got to use the machines that I bring y'all for the project I send y'all?
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Come on. You know what? It's fine. I'm about to start a planning text for us all. Don't play. I'm gonna start our group text right now. Stop it. Okay.
Because I would love to see y'all
And maybe we could do
really.
something for February, right? For the love of vintage sewing.
Oh,
You feel me?
yes, yes,
We'll let
yes.
that percolate a little bit longer.
Hmm.
But you
Hmm.
guys stay tuned for that. You guys
Yeah.
stay tuned for that. Um, we're going to hop into my segment, which is about style. Now, I just want to just do a little background to this because I do feel like, and this is not something that is like hush hush or anything like that, but I feel like over the past like year and some change, like I have had some just struggles with anxiety and stuff like that. Um, and one of the things that I have found is that I've been paying more attention to the things that I wear and the impacts on my mood, on the impacts of my mental health, etc. And I never thought that I would be someone who people saw my style and they said, that is what I want, right? Or people would see me show up for an event and they would be like, yes, I love this outfit because I really am a creature of comfort. I love dopamine. I love natural ways that I can increase my dopamine levels because why not go through life feeling happiness and joy? Um, so I want to share a little bit about how we can thrift to find the fabrics that we need to create projects that make us feel beautiful, right? So, in my most recent YouTube video, I did just drop an upcycle video on how to essentially add pearl mesh panels to some jeans. And this was a project that cost me in total of under $5 to make. The jeans I got from the thrift store, and in Atlanta, we actually have a couple of thrift outlets. They're called Park Avenue Thrift Outlet, where every day we'll have an assigned like monetary value for everything in the store. Trisha from Creative Costume Academy has come with me to the store. Julian was not in town long enough for me to take him with me, but you can go in and everything for that day is like $1.25, 25 cents, 50 cents. Yes, it goes that low. So I paid $1.25 for those jeans, and then I went to Craft Hallway, and they were already having a 40% off sale, and I got 2 yards of this fabric, and so I only used a quarter yard of the fabric to do this upcycle project. But one of the things that I think is important to highlight, because people will think that, oh, because you sew, it's cheaper. And it's not cheaper because you have to factor in, of course, the machine that you buy, the wear and tear on the machine, the notions that you use, etc. But one of the areas that I do feel like we can pay less in is by simply refashioning or upcycling existing pieces of clothing. That way, we are reducing the amount of textile waste that's hitting, of course, honestly, the oceans, right? Because we know that's where a
Ocean,
lot of
the
these things come
continent of
from.
Africa,
Yes,
poor countries, and different things like that. Yes.
India, like we're seeing the impacts of what fast fashion is doing to the environment. But
Hmm.
most importantly, I think it's important for us to highlight that even though you might be donating your Shein and Temu, which also BT dubs, I'm absolutely laughing at Shein trying to sue Temu for biting off of
Child.
their styles. which I feel
Child.
like is a conversation for another day, but literally LMAOing, right?
Of course.
But just because you donate those does not mean that, oh, now it is now no longer fast fashion. The reason why it is still fast fashion is because how many wears is the next person going to be able to get out of that garment, right? One of the cool things that you can do, of course, is upcycle anything. We're seeing the rise of things like bedsheet couture, and that is simply what I call it. But, using bed sheets to essentially become incremental parts of your wardrobe so that that way it is something that can be worn. And now it's been saved from, of course, the stores as well as where it could possibly end up as far as not being used for something else. And that's something that I really feel like we can continue to push. Why? Because a lot of times, if you are plus size bodied, you can't do the same thrift flips that smaller size people can do simply because one, they're doing it with plus size fashions and plus size garments. So we don't
Mhm.
have those available to us. And then also, we need a lot more fabric to actually do the refashion. So it limits our ability to do that, which is the reason why if you're going out thrifting and you're looking for a way to either one, um, have less of an impact on your pockets with your sewing hobby or necessity, as well as prevent more textile waste, utilizing things like blankets, quilts, sheet sets, things like that are a fantastic way to go. Of course, also utilizing jeans as well as like I thrifted a bunch of jeans because I watch her name is Sandra Lee Designs and she does quilts and she
Mhm.
uses a lot of denim to create these quilts. And I was like, okay, so one, a quilt made out of denim is going to be warm. We're trapping the heat. It's going to be warm, right?
Right.
But then I was like, oh, I love this, the way that it plays on texture. There's so many different options out there. And so I'd already had a pair that were laying around. But one of the things that I love about this Pinterest inspiration to closet manifestation that we're doing is that there's so many upcycle ideas that exist on Pinterest now that it makes refashioning so much easier, right? And then you have creators like myself and others who are showing how to do this sort of thing. So that way you can confidently go into a thrift store, buy something, and know that you can upcycle it to make it into something that is going to make you feel beautiful. At the end of the day, um, you don't have to buy new fabric, new garments, new anything in order for you to feel like you are beautiful, or in order to have this sewing journey be successful. Julian is basically an expert in being able to thrift machines, right? Being able to
Mhm.
pay not nearly as much while saving a machine from going into, the wastelands, right? Into the dumpsters. They will survive because they have steel insides. They're going to last longer than anything else in this world right now. But, you know, you can do it and you can be saving the world. And I love that National Sewing Month is doing this complementary relationship between sewing and sustainability because they truly do go hand in hand. Just like being able to mend things with your hands. So, for example, I was actually teaching a class. I was teaching the Ilford jacket, and one of my students was finishing one of his seams and ended up serging through his jacket and had a big hole. And I was like, you know what? It's fine because we will patch that up using some visible mending techniques. And one of the techniques that I have been practicing is, of course, the Japanese style of shishido, right?
Mhm.
And so now it wasn't perfect because your girl's still practicing, but we were able to mend it visibly without him feeling like, oh, now I have to start from new or I can't wear it or having negative feelings towards that. So I think it's really important that we embrace and we begin to hone those skills like visible mending. In fact, there's actually a book out there that is called Visible Mending, which gives you tips and techniques. And then I had the opportunity to actually meet two authors of a book that actually teaches the visible mending techniques. So there are different ways out there to utilize thrifting as well as upcycling, as well as refashioning as a means to fill up your wardrobe with things that are going to make you feel beautiful. And when you put them on, you know that you are the only person who is rocking this here piece because it was custom made by you to your taste. to your size, and you have that comfort in that. So that
Awesome.
wraps up my little segment right there.
And we thank you so much for that. I think it really does make us think ways that we can do that. And this also goes into, as we're talking about, from clothing and fabric, but also into notions, into
Mm,
machines,
yes,
into patterns. A
yes,
lot of times I love vintage patterns. So finding ways that I can get patterns that way, preserve and save and stuff like that. We can definitely talk more about that in another
oh
episode as we talk
yes,
about history. Um, like all of that is included in here, and I think that you will gain a lot of things and learn new things when you look at some old methods. And um, you know, and I think even as we're talking about, people think that sewing is cheaper or not cheaper. Um, the thing I think we need to really, the point of context for when people are comparing, you're not, you can't compare what I make to Shein. You
okay,
can't compare what I make to H&M or anything like that. You need to compare what I make to Christian Dior Couture. You need to compare what I make to Valentino
especially
Couture.
what you make with your hand sewing.
Look, but like it is the level of quality and time
Yeah,
is not at the
exactly,
same as anything ready to wear.
exactly.
So you need to like when in comparison, honestly, sometimes they be about the same if you really think about it. Because the
Because
price, if
time
I
is money.
time is money, but then also fabric is still fabric. And y'all know I be fabricing. I'll be real honest sometimes. I be doing a lot. So I be you put that time and that effort there. But
Yeah,
I think we also need to stop selling ourselves short and trying to be like Timu, stop being like Shein, when we are more like, I ain't gonna say Chanel because I'm always gonna be better than Chanel.
ooh,
Um, I'm sorry for speaking facts, but any hoodles, you know, but like you need to make sure that you're right sizing yourself in the way that you see what you make with others,
yeah, absolutely.
because that's important. But y'all, we've been talking at y'all for a little bit. We
Yeah,
wanted to make sure that we kind of give y'all a little some things that are coming up here, some little
exactly.
sewing news that you can use.
Sewing news you can use.
And one of the things that we have really been enjoying this year is, I swear this has been the year of frock tales for everybody.
It has been the year of frocktails.
And according to Everything Frock Tales, which is an Instagram feed that shows all the worldwide frock tales, the frock tales that we have this month are Calgary, Brisbane, the Scottish Frock Tales, and New
So
York City
exciting.
Frock Tales. New
Yes.
York is the 28th of September. It is in Times Square again. And this year they're focusing on um, fabric manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be quilting, that could be embroidery, that could be visible mending, that could be pleats, that could be, there's so many
Crochet.
different ways,
Yeah.
ruching. And there's so many different ways like things that you can do with your sewing machine,
Yeah.
especially some of the modern ones for fabric manipulation. One thing I will say as I am thinking about this, even though I don't think I'm going to make it this year, um, I still want to like participate in the challenge of way to think of
Yeah.
making fabric for a garment my own. Don't forget your serger.
Don't
That's all
forget
I'm
your
gonna
surgery.
say. Don't forget your serger.
Yeah. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, Fabric Manipulation, the book is actually free on there. So if
Come
you
on.
are looking for it to have some continued inspiration on there, I have definitely downloaded the book a couple of times because someone might have a problem with reading. I love books. But it
Come on.
has a lot of really great techniques that are in there to help you create some very cool looks. And in addition to sewing news that you can use, we also have a recent book drop from a fellow sewist who is also into knitting. So I thought that was really interesting. His name is Quaylen Stark, and he just dropped a new book. In fact, today it drops on Tuesday, September 3rd, and it's called Two Needles. And I have the book. It's
Come on.
fantastic. It really makes being able to knit something that is easy to understand. I started knitting when I was 13, but I never learned how to read patterns at all. I didn't know anything about different stitches. I knew how to knit and purl, and that was it. And so we love to see the people in our community continuing to grow and celebrate their growth along with them.
So, and the full title of the book is called Two Needles, Many Knits, The New
Yes.
Knitter's Guide with Easy Patterns by Quaylen Stark.
Yes.
So definitely one to check out. It is available on all different platforms where you can get your books, but also make sure that you can check your libraries and stuff like that. You can also, check your libraries, but then also buy the book because
Yes. And also
we
make
support
sure
our
that you're requesting the book at libraries
Mhm.
because that way that also increases, of course, his sales, but also his visibility, which we want to do. So,
I love it. I love it. Well, y'all, we are so glad to be back with y'all. And we hope that you are back to be glad to be back with us as we are coming back with a vengeance for season 2. We are super excited to talk to y'all about new different things and enjoy life again with y'all as we are creating the world that we want to see, one stitch and one garment at a time. So I am Julian, and I hope that y'all gonna have a good week and that y'all are being audacious and creative and have a little tea on the side with it. Until
ooh,
next time,
that
y'all.
piping hot tea.
Right, right, right. Until next time, y'all. Have a wonderful evening and stay creative.
Bye.